Welcome back, everybody, to another Digital Gate Studios production. We have some more BT15 awesomeness for you. What do you got?
I have, with special permission from Basil, Rosemon Burst Mode, his baby, and I have been just kind of falling in love with this deck. I just think I really enjoy how well it synergizes all of the cool things you can do with the deck. And we were talking about Rosemon X-Antibody. And I think that's why, if you're watching this video, you're probably interested in this, because you're like, how do you fit in Rosemon X-Antibody? And, you know, Basil's working hard on some new decks that I don't want to take his time away to work on this. And I'm already been playing this a bunch. So
here we go.
I'm borrowing it from Basil. He's going to jump in the comments. Let me know. Green expert, correct me how I'm wrong. But we had to get an update to our favorite vegetation deck, or second favorite, whatever. Togemon, still the egg of choice. It's great egg. We didn't really get any new pieces. When an effect suspends one of your Digimon, draw one. Makes sense, right? What I really like about this, compared to like Bloomlord lists, is that we can fully take advantage of the 4 of Palmons, because you know, room is tight in Bloomlord, right? You don't necessarily want to play 4 of this. Start a main. One of your opponent's Digimon gains all turns. When the Digimon becomes suspended, lose 2 memory. What pairs well with that? I don't know. Probably one of the coolest X-Antibody designs I've ever seen. I love the artwork of Palmon X-Antibody.
I do too.
It's so great. So, for example, right? This one, you target a Digimon, start a main, make it lose 2 memory. Then you Digivolve for 0 into Palmon, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. Doesn't say level 3. Memory. Doesn't say level 4. It just says suspend a Digimon, and it's on play as well, right? Bam, gain 2 memory. So you Digivolved, drew, you know, a card off that, gain 2 memory.
It's a 3-cost hard play, right?
It's a 4-cost hard play. So that is the downside of the X-Antibody. Probably make it a little bit balanced.
But you could still play it for 2. If you suspended something when you on-played it, so you could go a little bit wider, right?
Yep. There's just so much versatility. And I think this is such a good inclusion. I will say, comparing, if you haven't already watched Basil's last deck list for the Rosemon, he does a great job explaining how the deck works, and I recommend you go back and watch that, because basically it's kind of like the same exact deck.
Some new pieces.
Just some new pieces. So, Floodgates are obviously great cards. Don't get me wrong. But sometimes, you know what? I just take out Floodgates if I'm working on certain combos. And in this opinion, you know, I decided to take out the Floodgates and put in the Palmon X, because Lala Search is so good. The Palmon, you know, is so good. Reveal the top 3, add 1 vegetation, plant, or fairy, and 1 Yoshino. We are playing Yoshinos, so we do, in fact, want that, right?
You need those,
I really also like the inheritables, right? When this Digivolve, if you're a Green Tamer, reduce the cost by 1. Same thing on this one as well. And then this one is when a Green Tamer's played, gain 1 memory. So this just makes Digivolution so cheap. And that really is important, what I think ties into the new top end that we have of the deck.
So too.
This card is just so good. I've just been obsessed with this card lately. I've just been wanting to play anything green. Togemon. Your turn. Once per turn, when you would play a Green Tamer card from your hand, by suspending a Digimon, reduce the play cost by 1. Triggers Coco to draw, or excuse me, reduce the play cost by 3. I already had in my head that the Tamers become 1
Tamer's
cost.
only cost 1.
Right. So I love this Togemon. And again, it has an awesome inheritable. When this Digimon would Digivolve, if you have a Green Tamer, reduce the cost by 1. Another reason why I really like Pal X. Sometimes you want to reduce the cost by 1 on this Palmon, but you're Digivolving to the level 4, right? You Digivolve that for 0, you gain 2 memory, then your 4 is essentially free, because you gain 2 memory off of that, and then you reduce the cost by 1. The memory manipulation is so nice in this deck, which is why I think it makes it easy for people to justify playing Rosemon X. We're going to go into a new level 4 that was also given, that is also a great design, but Palmon X is so clean. It's such a good design. This is Togemon X-Antibody.
You got the sombrero, man, right there.
It's funny how much he looks like Ponchomon, but like, you know, X-Antibody, clearly the design was influenced like that. What's nice is this evolves on a Togemon for 0. It is still a 2-cost Evo, so I'm not like ruining my ratios. All I really did was take out the red veggie that was in Basil's previous Rosemon list.
The Turbo 4.
Which, you know, was nice, don't get me wrong, but you kind of didn't need that with just all the cards that we have, the memory gain, the reduction, etc. When Digivolving, one of your opponent's Digimon cannot unsuspend. Done. Right? It doesn't say if you're a Togemon or X-Antibody on that particular line.
And it's not at the beginning of their turn.
It's not the
beginning
beginning of the turn.
Unsuspend
they
at all.
Can't unsuspend. It stops all force, right? Which is the
Stops a
bane
lot.
of my existence, right? Then it says if you have Togemon or X-Antibody in his opponent's or in this Digimon's Digivolution card, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. So it's interesting that the order is, in my opinion, backwards compared to what we're used to with these types of cards. But I think it works really well in this deck. So I like it as a 3 of. Its inheritable is kind of nice too. This Digimon gets plus 1k for each of your opponents suspended. It's not necessarily like you're relying on it per se, but it can help, right?
It helps,
right.
yeah.
And then this is still the exact. Oh, actually, these ratios I did tweak just a tiny bit. Basil, please jump in the comments. Let me know what you think of this change I made. You were originally playing 4 Togemon, 4 Sunflow, 2 Red Veggie. I decided to go down to just one less Sunflow.
Okay.
Because I like the early game of setting up the Tamers with Togemon and the Lalamon, the level 5 I'll show off in a sec. And then I kind of like this more maybe for like the late game.
Yep.
Right? And so or maybe the mid game. So I'm okay with, I think, going down to just one of it. You know, it's still has great inheritable of reducing the Digivolution cost by 1. This is the BT13 Sunflow. By suspending this Digimon, one of your Digimon may Digivolve into a fairy for a cost reduced by 2. So obviously it's great, right? But we play so many trainings. We play inheritables that reduce the play cost, right? We've gained memory off Palmon and Pal X. I think it's okay to go down to 3. Would love to hear everyone's opinions in the comments, right? So now I'm going to jump into one of my favorite cards in the deck. That is Lalamon.
Yeah.
This card's awesome.
This is your card of the week.
This was my card of the week. Guys, if you're not already, every Friday, 8 a.m. Pacific, 2 Tamers Talk podcast. It's awesome. We love doing them. Jump on that. Start watching. Anyways, back to this.
Link will be at the end of the video.
What I really like about this particular burst mode deck, right? I was a huge fan of Ravemon burst mode. Ravemon burst mode's weakness was getting this Keenans to be played for free because it's hard when it's a level 4 because generally you like to have the level 4 stack going and raising to start setting up that second stack. So you miss the timing. Then it also says if you don't have a Keenan career play, this one just straight up says
play a Yoshino.
You may play it. It doesn't say you don't have to have it. It doesn't say anything like that. It is just straight up, you may play a Yoshino.
Yep.
I love this card. And Yoshino is a card you want to stack multiple of if you can.
Yep.
Really helps Digivolution, you know, for reducing the cost and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then when your opponent has a suspended Digimon, security attack +1.
Yep.
It's sick. I love this. It's really nice. And then the rest are the level 5s really stayed the same. So I'm going to lay them all out because this is the exact same as the last deck profile video. Unfortunately, guys, I don't think you play Lily Ace.
I don't think so either.
Lily X Antibody.
Lily X, yeah.
If there was a Lilax Antibody, maybe you would play that. I have no idea what it would do, how it synergized with the deck. But ultimately, I just decided that I really like these level 5s. I was really happy with how they were in the deck. The synergy was amazing. Lily Ace, great job on play when Digivolving, having that counter, and then just the Digizorb stuff, right? You know, helping draw cards with Pokemon, reducing Evo costs, whatever you want to do. And then this is where I start to tweak things a tiny little bit, so I'm curious what everybody thinks. I am playing 3 of the BT13 Rosemon.
Yep.
Personally, I think this is
I think it's the best
I was
one.
a huge fan of BT1 Rosemon. I really liked how interesting that card was. But, you know, it's been kind of power crashed.
Oh,
right?
just a little bit. Just
so
like most cards from BT1.
I'm not going to sit here and say I've tested BT1 Rosemon in this when I think BT13 does a great job.
Yeah.
You know, because this does kind of what you need in that moment. By suspending one of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers, unsuspend this Digimon. I really like how it pairs with the synergy of the Digisorption.
Yeah.
I like how it pairs where if you suspend yourself with Togemon or Sunflowmon and quickly get up into that level 6 stack, you can unsuspend this, right? Really like everything that happens. Also, all turns, let's turn when opponent's Digimon or Tamer becomes suspended. Suspend one of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers.
There it is.
It does a lot. It does a lot. So then, how many Rose X's do you play? In my opinion, I'm going to play 3.
I like that card so much.
I'm a big fan of this card, and here is the downside that you guys talked about last video. You talked about Rosemon Burst Mode. Rosemon Burst Mode, Digivolves for 0 if you do the burst conditions of returning the Yoshino to hand, right? But it can only go on regular Rosemon. Cannot Digivolve on Rosemon X.
You can't burst on Rosex. You can still Digivolve on Rosex. You just can't do it for free with the mechanics.
So what I found with this deck was, right, if I just try to not play Rose X and try to like, oh, I really want to burst, I don't need it.
Yeah, who cares?
I just don't like.
You reduce so much Digivolution costs,
yes,
it doesn't matter.
I reduce Digivolution costs, whether it's with trainings, whether it's inheritables, whether I've gained memory with Palmon. We play HBD. HBD is one of the best cards. It's restricted in green for a reason.
Yeah.
This gives more justification to play that Rosemon Burst mode and to play HBD because it's like, why not, right?
And the Yoshinos reduce it too, don't they?
The Yoshinos gain you memory when you Digivolve up. So
you're fine. So all of you Rosemon X haters, because you can't burst on top of it, it's not a big deal.
That's how I feel. And I really like this card. When Digivolving, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon and one of their Tamers. They cannot unsuspend until the end of the turn. So it really synergizes with the deck, how people call Rose Burst like a mini quartz. This is like a mini quartz.
Yeah,
it's kind of nice,
it just
right?
accelerates,
Opponent's turn, once per turn. When an opponent's Digimon is played, you may suspend one of their Digimon. That's pretty nice. And again, so far, both of these effects that we've read did not say you have to have Rosemon in source. Did not say you have to have X-Antibody in source. So it is usable.
It's such a good opponent's turn counter, too, because there's so many decks that play Digimon by effects, and you can actually slow them down so much with that card.
Yeah. And I really like how these two just synergize. You know, you could make the argument maybe going to 4 of this because you still have so much room in the deck, but I like the 3-3 split. All right, opponent's turn. This is where if you have Rosemon or X-Antibody in sources, right, it says when an opponent's Digimon moves from the breeding area to the battle area, if Rosemon or X-Antibody is in his Digivolution cards, you may suspend one of their Digimon.
Yep.
It's crazy. I love how much this deck does.
It puts the chokehold on your opponent.
Really does. I'm a big fan of the Rose X. And then let's get into kind of the rest of the deck. We're playing 3 of the Rosemon Burst modes.
Yep.
Rosemon Burst mode is just really good. People call it mini quartz. I think most of us do know what it does by now. We still have the flexibility to burst Evo if we have to Digivolve on that Rosemon. But again, I just feel that it's only a 5 cost. There's ways to reduce it. We play 4 Yoshinos, so it's like you're already gaining memory back. You are at 3 memory.
Well, and the thing I like about it too with the Rose X is the Rose X sets up so well for the burst mode because, I mean, it suspends 2 things that don't unsuspend. The burst suspends 2 more things it doesn't unsuspend, so it sets up your next turn where you get to swing and trash security.
Yeah, and sometimes it's kind of fun when you have burst modes that stay on the field.
Yeah.
Instead of having to trash because you did a temporary Digivolution.
Yep.
So this deck kind of can keep it on the field a little bit more. We're playing 4 Yoshinos. Card's amazing. It's a memory setter, which is awesome. When one of your Digimon Digivolves to Digimon Vegetation, Plant, or Fairy, suspend the Tamer, gain a memory. Bam. All of a sudden, I find myself when I'm playing this deck having at least 3 Yoshinos at all times on this field.
Yeah.
With the Togemon and the Lila, the draw engine, all that stuff, and the search.
Coming out of security, too.
Where it's like, I can Digivolve the Rose Burst for 1 or 2 by the time I gain memory back. So I'm okay. I'm still really liking the 2 Mimis. That this is, again, kind of like the exact same ratios Basil played. They're just so efficient and work so well. I'm sticking to it. This is great. It searches, grabs Plant Fairy, and when it affects suspends Digimon by suspending its Tamer, gain 1 memory.
Sure.
So if Digisorption, that's an effect, suspends a Digimon, gain a memory, right? Togemon, again, Basil, we've already kind of discussed this, right? Where Togemon will miss the timing of the Mimi because it suspends first, then plays it. Yeah. But if it's your second Togemon, or if it's Sunflow, right? I just really like this particular card. I am, in fact, playing 4 agility trainings, and this is one that I kind of had to think about because I was like, do I do a split with memory boosts? Because this kind of triggers that Digivolution.
Yeah.
So you can't stack them. So but by the time you get it going, I think you're ready to start. You gain the memory with the Yoshino.
You don't want to lose your Tamers.
You kind of get all that stuff going. So I really like the agility training. The more I think about this and the more I play with this.
And agility training to grab that card in your hand is really good, too.
HPD. HPD.
Being able to search one-ofs with trainings is just insane.
So when I first tried this deck, my thought process is 4 Yoshino enough, right? And I don't doubt Basil, and this just gave me more reason not to doubt him, right? The thought process was what if I experimented by taking out that HPD and just playing the 3-cost Yoshino? So that way I can keep memory setters on board, that I can have that suspend Digivolution, and then I bounce around the 3-cost Yoshino to be able to trigger Burst Evo with the stuff before X-Antibody. I liked it, don't get me wrong, but I think having the HPD, especially with the fact that now we can keep Rosemon Burst Mode on the board, and we can use it whenever we need to for anything else, and This deck just makes so much sense. And the reason why, again, I'm doing this deck profile is because I just love how much this deck makes sense.
Clearly.
This deck is awesome, guys. You have to try it. Jump in the comments. Let us know your ratios. Very excited to share this deck with you. And I promise, guys, we are almost done with green decks. I know it's been a lot with EX, but
we got a green-only tournament coming up,
green-only tournament coming up. This could be a great contender for that. So
True.
Thank you guys so much. Stay tuned. We appreciate all the support. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
All right. We'll see you next time.
We got it.